NVIDIA RTX 30 series, AMD Big Navi, Ryzen 5000. What do all of those things have in common, you might ask? Well, aside from being very fascinating pieces of hardware, they're also made with a very special and rare to find material called Unobtainium, believe it or not, which makes it so that supply can't really meet demand. However, if you're lucky, you can actually get your hands on an RTX 3070 card, which I actually have in my PC over there. Video on that is going to be in the video description. But today we're actually going to be making a PC part picker list using all of those parts which are made of Unobtainium, like I was saying previously, so that in 3 or 4 months, when supply actually manages to meet the demand, which is something I heard from some sources, you're actually going to be able to come back to this very video and build yourself a PC using them. And trust me, you're actually going to like this thing, because from the reviews so far, well, they're pretty excellent, even if you're a gamer, a content creator, or otherwise. So I'd say we go to the PC and go on PC Part Picker and build ourselves a computer. Let's go. Okay, we're at the PC right now, and I obviously had to change camera, so sorry for the poor quality, but come on, look at this beautiful build behind me. That's definitely not poor quality, is it? Well, I think it's now time to finally talk about the components, and let's start with the CPU. And in any other case, I would go with the Ryzen 3600 over here, but come on, we're not peasants, right? We're going for something better. We're going for the latest 5600X, which obviously is not in stock. But this one is a beast of a CPU, offering you a 4.6 gigahertz boost frequency in this case, compared to the 4.2 gigahertz that the 3600 is offering you right now. And it still comes in at the same 65 watts and of course with the same 6-core, 12 threads. Awesome performer all across the line. Let's go with the graphics card right now. And in any other case, I wouldn't go for the graphics card just now, but we're building the paper launch PC, or Unobtainium, like I called it in this case. Now, it's really hard to get AMD cards, especially with NVIDIA, especially with the RTX 3070 and 3090. From what I've noticed, it's a bit easier to get our hands on one of those, but you know what? We started with AMD. We're going with AMD because we also want to make use of SAM, Smart Access Memory. And of course, we're going with something a bit more budget. I mean, it still feels that we're going to a 3-star Michelin restaurant where we want to get the best quality, but we also don't have a lot of money because, you know what, we're gamers, so we're not filthy rich. Either way, you could go with a 6800 XT, but no, you're a bit more budget conscious and you're going with the same flavor or similar flavor, which is the RX 6800 over here. And of course, none of them are in stock, so we're just gonna pick the Gigabyte model. In this case, this one is actually going to deliver very similar, if not better performance than the 3070, and in most cases it does deliver better performance than an RTX 3070 does, similar to the 3080. So let's just stick to this one. And I'm now thinking, what other parts are not generally in stock? Well, power supplies in this case. I mean, you're definitely going to see that, yeah, already some of them are in here. This one from Cooler Master is not, so it's either really hard to get a hold of power supplies, or the ones that you can get your hands on are a bit more expensive. But I would say don't cheap out on power supplies, and definitely don't do a build like this. Choose the CPU, GPU, and then the power supply, because it makes no sense. Just follow the correct order. But for the purpose of this video, this is exactly how we're going to do it. Now, both AMD and NVIDIA recommend that you use a 650 watt power supply for the 6800 and the RTX 3070, and the higher you go into the stack, then you're going to need a 750 watt power supply, which is exactly what I'm going to take in this case. And the reason for that is maybe you're going to want to upgrade at some point to some better components, and it's very good to not cheap out on your power supply in this case. And the difference in some cases is like $5 to $10. So I mean, if you're starting to build this PC, then you should probably have another $5 or $10 to spare, because otherwise, why are you building this? You clearly don't have the money. I would say to go with a power supply from a reputable brand, like in here Corsair, EVGA, Seasonic, but not this model of Seasonic. And technically I'm not going to tell you why, but I make sure to leave a link in the video description to a PSU tier list to see which one to pick depending on the build that you're doing. In my case, just going to pick whatever is handy right here. And I remember that yesterday when I was trying to do this video, yeah, it was out of stock at Corsair, so that's why we're going to pick this one. Not the reason, but it's also a very good power supply. Now let's see, cases. These are also very special because I have a friend who's building a PC right now, and I told him to get not the P300A from Fantex in this case, but a P400A because it has amazing airflow. And let's see if this one is actually in stock. I mean, we might still see the prices right here, but if you go on Amazon, not in stock. I mean, I'm kind of playing with the rules over here. I'm bending them a little bit, and I'm obviously doing this in Germany, so you might actually be able to find those in stock in your country. But the reason for which I'm going with the P400 is because it's an excellent case, and of course, as you might have seen, it's the P400A digital, and that's because it's full of rainbow grade barf RGB in this case. So if you're someone who wants to use that and want to color your PC in that way and barf and rainbow grade barf in this case, then you're more than free to do it. But like I said, it's an amazing really case, and you can see a video on that from both Hardware Canucks and Gamers Nexus, and if that is any indication, then yeah, go to them because they're amazing. Now, what other parts should we go for that are generally not in stock? Well, sadly, for all of the other components like memory, storage, motherboard, and stuff like that, you're generally going to find them in stock, especially motherboards, because I think they're making a ton of them because they're expecting a lot of people to buy those hot new chips from Ryzen, from AMD in this case, so both the 3000 series and the 5000 series in this case. And little nugget of information for you. Ryzen 5000 will also work on the B450 motherboards. Hardware Canucks has already made a video on that. Like, even right now they're working for certain ASRock motherboards, but if you want to go for a B450 motherboard, do know that not all of them support them out of the box, so don't just get a B450 motherboard and expect to work right out of the gate with Ryzen 5000 chips. But if you're watching this in 2021, when AMD said that they're also going to make all of those B450 motherboards work with the Ryzen 5000 series, well, you can also go with that. However, in this case, I'll just go with something that I really like, which is the B550 motherboards. They're amazing in this case, and you can see that the first one that pops up is the Tomahawk model. Well, I'll also tell you why, because this motherboard has excellent VRMs and is one which can hold pretty much every CPU that you throw at it from AMD, even the 5950X easily. And they also had a lot of success with the B450. Well, I see that ASRock is the first one, but they also had a lot of success with, why is the Tomahawk not MSI? Come on, MSI has the Tomahawk here as well. There has got to be an error. Either way, apparently PC Part Picker is not showing the B450 Tomahawk for whatever reason. Yesterday when I was looking at this, they were, but oh, I think they're, yeah, I think I know why. Oh, you can see it's only ASRock in this case. Well, PC Part Picker is not showing that because I chose the 5600X, which, like you can see, it only works with these ASRock B450 motherboards right now, as Hardware Canucks did a video on that as well. Either way, in any other case, you could also go with a B450 Tomahawk if you're watching this in 2021, or if you're building a PC with a Ryzen 3600. I'm not going to look at the other ones, but I can tell you, well, I'm doing the exact opposite, right? No, I'm not going to look at them, just go with this one. It's a very solid, or go with something that's comparable. You're also going to get PCIe Gen 4 support in this case, which is not necessarily going to help you right now in all games, but games in the future might actually make use of some PCIe Gen 4 SSDs because those are hella fast. For memory, because we're gonna get to storage as well, for memory I would always pick, like you see, it's the very first one, and I know this makes my job in here really easy in this case, with the Corsair 16 gigabytes kit from well, the Corsair Vengeance 16 gigabytes kit, so 2x8 kit in this case. Excellent memory. I actually have this one in my PC as well, and as far as I know, this pretty much works with everything that you use in this case, both Intel and AMD. However, not necessarily. So for this one, you can still use the 3200 megahertz speed for it. However, you can also go for 3600. But what I would like to tell you is that to make sure that if you're going for 3200, you get at least CL16 or lower, or if you go for 3600, you get CL18 or lower. And of course, you can also find some CL16 that are 3600 megahertz in this case. Just the only problem in this case is that this memory is almost always in stock. I never had an issue where I was looking to buy this for any other builds that I was doing for friends of mine or for clients, and yeah, it's just sad because we're trying to build the Unobtainium, but the only parts that are really hard to come by have already been thrown out of the PC right here, and you can see that we have no prices for them. But with that in mind, I think it's now also time to talk about storage, and in this case, I would say get a terabyte of spinning Rust, so an HDD in this case. You can go for this one, so for the Seagate Barracuda, but what I would say is like try to find some secondhand deals from people that have not abused their hard drives. I mean, I have 3 of them in my PC, and they're working wonders in this case. And for an SSD, you can save yourself some money and go with a PCIe Gen 3 SSD for now and upgrade to PCIe Gen 4 a bit later, because your motherboard is capable if you're going with this one. But with most of them, if you're going with them, you're going to have 2 M.2 slots in this case. I think even for some ITX motherboards. Either way, that's besides the point. I'm not going to get into detail which type of SSD you should get, because you have DRAM-less as well, TLC, QLC, all of those things. I'm going to leave a link in the video description where you can learn more about that. But I can give you an idea that you should probably get something that's cheap and accessible at the same time. And what I have in my PC is a Samsung 960 EVO. This is a bit more expensive, but you can go for something like not the P1. I would generally recommend the P2 or the Kingston A2000. Or if you want really good value, but this one is a bit more expensive, go with a PNY XLR or Accelerate in this case. Horrible naming. I would say this one is a bit more expensive. However, you're getting great reads and write speeds, and you're also getting a lot of terabytes written accessible for it. So what are we missing right here? So the CPU, the motherboard, the memory, the storage, the case, video card, power supply. If you want to get another cooler, then I would recommend, I mean, the stock one is pretty good for AMD, but obviously if you don't want it to be super noisy, then you could also go for something else, which is either an Arctic Freezer 34, so this one, or you could go for the Arctic Liquid Freezer 240 mil in this case, which is an excellent cooler. And if you're going to watch Gamers Nexus video on that, then Steve is going to tell you exactly why. So just in this case, we're going to go with this one. However, you can also go for a Noctua cooler, which is exactly what I have in my PC, and you can go with an NHD 14, or if you are a total bowler, you can go for an NHD 15 in this case. And obviously Noctua has some other coolers as well, but the small caveat being, you know, the colors. But for some of them, as you can see, you can also find them in the Chromax Black version, and these ones are really quiet. But I'll just go with the Arctic Liquid Freezer 240 in this case, because it's a pretty amazing cooler, and it also cools the VRMs, which is really important. If you want to have any other case fans, I would also recommend going with either a Noctua in this case, or with those RGB fans from Corsair. I actually have one of those in my PC as well, but I would say go with an Arctic P12 PWM, and they also have for the P12 a full 5-pack, and you can see this one is like about 20 to 30 bucks generally, and it's amazing value. So here we have the PC build. I mean, you're looking at this and you're like 655 bucks, 660, well, 600, yeah, whatever, 656, that's what I was trying to say. Amazing value, right? Well, you're missing out on those prices for the Ryzen CPU, for the Gigabyte GPU, and what else? Yeah, for those, but those are pretty expensive still, especially if you buy them from scalpers, which you shouldn't. Yeah, with the PC ready, I think if we were to do some napkin math, I think we would end up with this costing about 1,500 bucks, which if you think about it is, I mean, it's also not cheap, but also not extremely expensive, and the value that you're getting out of it is pretty amazing. And if you want to upgrade further down the line, I don't think you're going to have to do that in like 2 or 3 years, more likely in like 4 or 5. And as much as I hate the word future proof, then I still think that you're technically future-proofing yourself, because looking at the game titles that are coming out really soon, you're going to be able to play them on this graphics card. So take those parts, try to build yourself a PC, see if you like it, and good luck trying to find them. Okay, now all that remains to be said is that I also happen to run a series of episodes called Mosh Bits on my channel, where I happen to talk quite a lot about the latest news in tech and gaming. So if you'd like to keep yourself up to date on those things, then definitely watch those episodes. They'll be linked in the video description. And if you happen to have some other suggestions for future videos that I should do on my channel, then definitely drop them down in the comment section down below. But otherwise, just get subscribed, like this video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, but do let me know why you disliked it in the comment section down below. Now, this has been Alex with the Red Elk. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.